चलो स्टार्ट। कहाँ जाना है तुमको सागर? जाने दो सर। लुकिंग हैंडसम। ऐसे ही दिखता हूँ मैं ऑफिस में। सागर, आई लुक हैंडसम। भूख लगी है। व्हाट वर यू डूइंग इन द ब्रेक देन? नो, आई एम नॉट गोइंग ऑन फॉर डेट. व्हाई विल आई गो ऑन डेट इन फॉर्मल्स? 706. चलो चलो. ऐसे 706 emphasis of matter para and other matter para in the independent auditors report EOMM OM para. फटाफट से सागर बताओ व्हाट इज EOM para.
Sir, para that are disclosed in the financial statement and are significant in the auditor's judgment.
So already disclosed in the FS and are in the auditor's opinion should be brought to the attention of the users of FS, right? And what is other matter para then? OMP.
Which are not disclosed in the financial statement but are important for the क्या बोलते हैं understanding of the user of the auditor's report or auditor's responsibility, etc.
So relating to audit, auditor's report or auditor's responsibility. So matters relating to audit, auditor's report or auditor's responsibility which are not disclosed in the FS. Of course, this will not be disclosed in the FS. Why will they disclose in the financial statement? Matters relating to audit, auditor's report, right? Auditor's responsibility. But according to the auditor, it should be brought to the attention of the users of FS, and therefore that will be brought into where? In OMP, other matter para. So scope of FS 706 you will see is dealing with additional communication in the auditor's report when auditor considers necessary to draw users' attention to all those matters which have already been presented or disclosed in the FS, and auditor believes that these are fundamental to the users of FS. Similarly, other than those matters, that means other than the matters which are presented and disclosed in the FS but are relevant to the user's understanding regarding about auditor responsibility or auditor's report, auditor's responsibility or auditor's report. So meaning we have already seen this lot many times. Now let's see requirement with respect to EOM para. So quickly tell me whether can you modify the same matter where the same matter you are reporting it in EOM para. Can you do so? Can you modify a matter on which you the same matter you are already presenting it in EOM para, reporting it in EOM para, emphasis of matter para? Can you modify a matter on which the same matter is being presented or reported in key audit matter para? This we have already done just now, just before the break. Key audit matter para. Can you modify the same matter that you brought to the attention of the users of FS in key audit
No,
matter para?
sir.
No. Similarly, EOM also, if you are bringing it to the attention of the users of FS in EOM para, then you cannot modify on that same matter. So it could be any individual matter on which you are modifying it, but then you don't have to present it in key audit matter or EOM para. Can you think accordingly? Can you do so in the case of OMP para, other matter para? Or the question is relevant or not for the case of OMP para? The matter which has already been modified, can I do so? Can I present it in OMP para? Whether the question is relevant or not. So in other matter para, which matters do we disclose? No, no is then Lakshmi is saying no. Sony is saying yes. Sony, quickly tell me what do we report in other matter para? Matters which are not presented or disclosed in FS, right?
Right, sir.
So matters which are not presented or disclosed, will you find any misstatement there in the financial statement regarding those matters? If they are not presented or disclosed, will there be any misstatement regarding audit,
Sir.
auditor's responsibility or auditor's report? Will you be finding any misstatement in audit responsibility or auditor's report matter?
No, sir.
Then the question does not arise, right, regarding the reporting in modification. So you cannot modify on those matters. So the question itself won't arise. If you are stating something in other matter para, that matter will be relating to what? Audit, auditor's responsibility, auditor's report. So there won't be any misstatement as such. And it's not even presented or disclosed in the FS. When do you modify? When there is a misstatement in FS, right? When there is a misstatement in the financial statement, then you modify your opinion based on your audit evidence. So in EOM para and key audit matter para, the matters which are already being presented in EOM or key AM, then you won't be modifying the same matter in your modified opinion and vice versa. So that was the first point. Second one is same, which whatever matter you are already disclosing the in key audit matter para, the same will not be disclosed in here, where in emphasis of matter para. So whatever matters you are already presenting in the key audit matter para, the matter will not be coming here in emphasis of matter para, or if you are disclosing in emphasis of matter para, then you won't be disclosing it in key audit matter para. Then when auditor includes an EOM para in the auditor's report, auditor will include a paragraph within a separate section, auditor's report, right? So auditor's report may we will include one separate section EOM para. And where will we include that? That we will see later. Location of EOM para. So location of EOM para could be after going concern para, could be before key audit matter para, could be other places as well, based on the circumstances because of which we are giving EOM para. So that will depend the location of EOM para, but we will have to include a separate section in the auditor's report. Include a paragraph in a clear reference to the matter being emphasized and to where relevant disclosure that fully describe the matter can be found in the financial statement. So clear reference has to be given that this matter is being emphasized, right? And the paragraph shall refer only to the information which is presented or disclosed in the FS. No other reference can be given. So you can provide for emphasis of matter para only when you are referring to those matters which are already presented or disclosed. If it is not presented or disclosed in the FS, you cannot provide for that matter in the EOM para. Yes or no? Any doubt till now? Indicate that the auditor's opinion is not modified in respect of the matter emphasized. So same point, that we cannot modify the auditor's report in respect of the same individual matter in which we are reporting EOM para or KAM para. Now come to requirements in other standards on auditing requiring EOM para. So EOM, emphasis of matter para, do you recall any of the circumstances where we have encountered in other standards on auditing where EOM was mentioned, that you have to report this under EOM para? Do you recall? Hmm? Bolo, bolo, bolo. Yes, Sony is saying yes. Then which, where, which standard? Sony is saying yes, where then? Subsequent event, correct, Pooja. Subsequent event, there was a situation where after issuing of the financial statement and we come to know about subsequent events, right? When facts become known to the auditor after the due date of the auditor's report, and the auditor provides a new or amended auditor's report. So when you are providing a new or amended auditor's report, so I told you that this new amendment or new subsequent event will be disclosed in the financial statement, right? So that disclosure you can refer to, that please shareholder go and refer that note to account in which the disclosure relating to subsequent event is being specified. Similarly, you can also include other matter paragraph in that case where you feel that your responsibility, your audit reporting has to be emphasized. So that will be included where in other matter paragraph. That you have to emphasize regarding your responsibility with respect to only and only subsequent event. That you have performed your audit procedure only with respect to subsequent event. So one point you mentioned correctly. Other 2 points, let's see. When FRF, and this is an inclusive list, right? There could be other examples as well. So this one example, they have also asked this in last to last attempt MCQ question. So where an FRF prescribed by law or regulation would be unacceptable, but for the fact that it is prescribed by law or regulation, law or regulation ने prescribe किया है, and you feel that FRF is not suitable, but it is prescribed by law and regulation, what can you do about it, right? So you have to abide by law and regulation, you have to adhere to the same FRF, and therefore in that case you will emphasize this point in EOM. You will emphasize this point in EOM para, that management is stating in that disclosure in the notes to account that this is prescribed by law or regulation. However, we don't find comfortable with that particular FRF. When a FRF prescribed by law or regulation would be unacceptable, but for the fact that it is prescribed by law or regulation. It's like a situation where you don't want to eat medicine, but for the fact that it is prescribed by a doctor, right? So you can't deny that. Similarly, to alert users that the financial statements are prepared in accordance with SPFS. So when you are preparing SPFS, special purpose financial statement, then you will also alert the user that these financial statements are prepared using special purpose framework and not general purpose framework. And this again you will realize or disclose it where, report it where, in UM para, clearly referring to the disclosure where they specify the framework with which they have prepared their financial statement. ठीक है? So 3 points, remember this. It's easy only. One is SA 800 SPFS, one is SA 210, that is FRA prescribed by law regulation, is not acceptable, but for the fact that it is prescribed by law regulation, we have to abide by it. And thirdly, the what you all told, right? SA 560 subsequent events. Now comes example of circumstances. So mark the word circumstances. Here above the examples were there, but that is with respect to what requirements in other standards on auditing requiring UM para. So when they ask this, you can also write this circumstances. And also when they ask example of circumstances when UM para can be included in auditor's report, they don't ask you specifically whether in other standards on auditing, what all areas will you include EOM. Then you will write this answer, that is example of circumstances when UM para can be included in the auditor's report. So what all circumstances? There is uncertainty relating to future outcome, whether we will win the case or not, whether we will win the high court case or will lose the case. A significant subsequent event has occurred between the date of FS and between the date of auditor's report. Similarly, there could be a case where early application that you have applied one Indian accounting standard or any other standards on accounting earlier as compared to your other market participants. Like example, if you know, in 2000, from 2016 onwards, India's became applicable, right? But it was voluntarily for the company, voluntarily they can opt from implementation from in 2015, or I am stating 1 year before, I think it implemented from 2017, but instead of that, if the entity wants, they can opt voluntarily before 2017 also, that is from 2016. Right, so early application of a new accounting standard that has pervasive effect on the financial statement, then that could also involve what, EOM para. Similarly, a major catastrophe that has had or continues to have a significant effect on the entity's financial position. So if you want to learn all the 4 points, you can recall one game that we used to play earlier relating to EA Sports. EA Sports के game खेले थे तुम लोगों ने? EA Sports to the game. So EA Sports में catastrophe आना was very uncertain. So uncertain से you have first point, catastrophe से last point, then EAC early application, and sports के S से subsequent event.
Sir, question.
Yeah,
Sir, in the previous para, we have seen that the requirement in other ASs requiring the UMP para.
yeah,
In that case, to alert that when the FS is prepared on the basis of special purpose framework, So this means going concern. Kind of when it will be prepared in the going concern basis, then
No,
we
no,
will.
it's not going concern. You are referring to second point, na?
Yes, sir.
No,
So
how is this going concern relating
special
to going?
purpose framework, if a financial statement is prepared on the basis of special purpose framework, so we generally do it in the on this is not going concern.
No, 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 it's not like that. Going concern, I told you, if you remember, SA 570 applies only for general purpose financial statement, GPFS.
No, no. When the entity is not going concern, in on that scenario, we prepare special purpose, right?
No, no, no. Special purpose, I have told you, na, the SPFS could be prepared when it is requirement of a specific entity. Suppose your lender asks you the financial statement to be in other format, in a format they want require, they want it, or suppose your regulator wants some financial statement in some other sort of disclosure. However, in general, public to general, in general, you will prepare what GPFS, general purpose financial statement as per Schedule 3 only. But suppose your regulator or your lender, for specifically lender requires financial statement in other sort of way, so that is special purpose financial statement, and that is prepared using special purpose framework. That will deal with SA 800. We will not deal here. It's not
Okay,
in our
okay.
syllabus. But that special purpose framework is not because we are not undergoing concern. If we are not undergoing concern, then also we will prepare under GPFS only. General purpose framework ही रहेगा तो भी अगर going concern नहीं है.
No, okay,
Just
sir.
that the accounting will change to realizable value, and that realizable value is well within the framework of GPFS only. Are you getting it, or कुछ
Yes, sir.
और?
Now clear, sir. Yes.
So test on SA 500 and SA 700 की सीरीज. ठीक है, SA 500 and SA 700 की सीरीज टेस्ट. Very two series, two important, very two important series for your exam on Sunday. And chapter 3 4 we discussed na, answers we have discussed chapter 3 and 4. So those who have missed, I'll send the recording again, can see that. 500 already big series है. Yes Sony, so you have to put efforts ना. Already कितना gap हो रहा है अपना. You have to now boost, speed up होना है. जल्दी जल्दी करेंगे नहीं तो स्टैंडर्ड्स में रह जाएंगे. Standards comprises of around 25 marks, 20 to 25 maximum. Generally, if you can see, they can also ask to 30 to 35, but generally you will find in 70 marks paper, 20 to 25 marks are from standards. So apart from standard also, there are so many chapters left now. Other audits, specifically other audits, are very important. If you say other audits, you won't be committing any mistake that you commit here. After reading the question, you tend to be confused about the answer, right? What answer it will be certain times before practice, if you say, or any new question comes. But in other audits, the questions are going to be straightforward. You just have to be aware about all the topics. That's it. So other audits are very simple, easy, and important. However, vast. Okay. So once we are done with this, then we'll move to other audits. Also, company audit, law portion is remaining. Company audit, LODR, all these have to be done. So requirement with respect to other matter paragraph in other auditor's report. So if the auditor considers it necessary to communicate a matter other than those that are presented or disclosed in the financial statement, that in the auditor's judgment is relevant to the user's understanding of the audit, the auditor's responsibility or the auditor's report, the auditor shall include an other matter paragraph, right? So they have specified that only, not 500 and 700, dono, both. 500 plus 700 series. Only two standards are left of SA 700, right? SA 710 and SA 720. And 710 is very small, 10 minutes only. 720 is good. So we'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll complete SA 720, SA 710, and SA 580. And we'll start with LODR most probably. So see, so you will report this under OMP para when this is not prohibited by law or regulation, And when SA 701 applies, the matter has not been determined to be a key audit matter para. Again, when you will, if you are including other matter paragraph, matter in OMP para, then you will not include the same matter in key audit matter para. Similarly, the matter you are including in OMP para should not be prohibited by law or regulation. Now, when the auditor includes an OMP para in the auditor's report, the auditor shall include the paragraph within a separate section, within the heading what? Other matter paragraph. So this separate section, the location will be where? Let's see that only. The location of EOMP para and location of other matter para. So that can be asked in MCQ. So this I have only compiled this for your reference based on other places which we have encountered other matter para. So I have compiled this. You can go through the same. So SA 560, SA 710, SA 299. So SA 299, if you remember, a joint auditor is not bound by the views of the other joint auditors. Do you remember? Joint auditor is not bound by the views of other joint auditor or majority views. He is not bound by the majority views. He can issue a different opinion. He can issue a different audit report. However, when he issues a different audit report, he has to give reference about his auditor report or about his auditor's responsibility, and that also that there is one more audit report or reports issued by other joint auditor, and this reference has to be given where? In other matter para. Right. Similarly, SA 560 we just recalled, and SA 710 also we will see just tomorrow. Till now, any doubt? Then we will go through the location of EOM and OMP para, if no doubt. Chalo. So let's see now EOM para where to place. So when EOM para relates to that applicable FRF, do you remember that when the fact that it is prescribed by law or regulation, but that FRF is not acceptable to the auditor? So in that case, you will report the EOM para just after basis for opinion. Just after basis for opinion para. So including circumstances where the auditor determines that FRF prescribed by law or regulation would otherwise be unacceptable, the auditor may consider it necessary to place the paragraph immediately following the basis for opinion section. So you can say fifth pay, right? After fourth. Fourth is what? Basis for opinion. To provide appropriate context to the auditor's opinion. So as to provide a appropriate context to the auditor's opinion. Now when you include a key audit matters section, that means in the case of audit of listed company, right? So when you include a key audit matter section in presented in auditor's report, an EOM may be presented either directly before or after key audit matter, right? So before or after. Now the auditor may also add further context to the heading emphasis of matter, such as EOM subsequent events, to differentiate the EOM paragraph from the individual matters. So there could be multiple EOM paragraphs, right? Multiple EOM points matters, individual matters. So you can include each individual matter in EOM and then dash and then summarizing that heading of that individual matter. So auditor also can add further context to the heading EOM dash subsequent event, EOM dash unacceptable FRF, right? You can do that. Now come to other matter paragraph. So when a key audit matter section is presented in the auditor's report, that means again listed company audit, more frequently listed company audit, where key audit matter is included, presented in the auditor's report, and other matter paragraph is also considered necessary by the auditor to report. Auditor may further add context to the heading other matters, such as other matter scope of the audit, or other matter auditor's responsibility, or other matter auditor's report, whatever be the case, why you are reporting. So you can just add a context, further context, so that it is more understandable just by reading the heading, right, to the users of FS, and to also differentiate the other matter paragraph from individual matters described in the KAM. So key audit matters, all other matters could be included in the KM, and then that after that also you will be writing what? Other matter paragraph, right? So you will have to differentiate other matter para from key audit matter para. So you'll have to give further context to other matter para dash. You can or you cannot. It's your choice. Then when an other matter paragraph is included to draw users' attention to matter relating to other reporting responsibility. Other reporting responsibility, do you remember? 143 subsection 3. Similarly, CARO, other reporting responsibility. Addressed in the auditor's report, the paragraph may be included in the report on other legal and regulatory requirement. Do you remember? Yesterday we saw that we can also include another report on other legal and regulatory requirement by differentiating audit report and report on other legal and regulatory requirement. So audit report will include the section till auditor's responsibility, and after that we will issue a separate report on other legal and regulatory requirement. We can do that. So they are stating that if the matter relates to that point, if your matter that you are reporting in OMP para relates to reporting on other legal and regulatory requirement, then better to include in that report and not in auditor's report. Better to report OMP para in report on other legal and regulatory requirement. Okay. And when relevant to all the auditor's responsibility or user's understanding of the auditor's report, the OMP para may be included as a separate section following the report on audit of FS and following the report on other legal and regulatory requirement. That means what? If it is relevant to all auditors responsibilities or user understanding of the auditor's report as a whole, then you can include it later, at last after issuing auditor's report, after writing report on other legal and regulatory requirement, you could include this section, other matter paragraph, at last, after both the reports, after report on audit statement, audited financial statement, and after report on other legal and regulatory requirements. Communicate the same to TCWG if you are including an EOM or OMP para. Same should be communicated. ठीक है? So we are done with essay 701, 705 and 706 today. We'll finish off with 710 and 20 tomorrow. Let's try to finish off essay 580 right now. Come to essay 580.
Sir,
Yes.
It's a few questions.
Yeah.
Sir, for understanding whole things, like can we modify on the basis of any points in KMP?
No. He audit
No.
matter para just now we saw na in essay
Yes.
701 it says
Mhm.
that if you are modifying on the same individual matter, then the same matter cannot be given in KMP para. KM para.
And that point which is given in KMP can't disclose in EMP,
Yeah.
but we
You
can
have to
disclose in
keep it in
OMP.
one place. Anywhere one.
But we
Anyone.
can, sir, but we can disclose it OMP, right?
But those won't be those matters, na, which deals with financial statement,
Okay,
disclosure, statement.
last
Yeah.
point we discussed now, the other matter paragraph, where when other matter paragraph um, is included to draw user attention that it's no.
It's relating to reporting responsibility only, right?
Yeah.
Auditor's reporting
Okay,
responsibility. It
okay,
is not relating to financial
okay.
statement, misstatements, or any sort of like that point. Essay 580 written representation. So you all are aware about this already, right? So tell me, is written representation a sufficient appropriate audit evidence on its own? फटाफट बोलो. Is
No.
written representation a sufficient appropriate audit evidence on its own? No. Everyone is saying no. Is it a corroborative audit evidence? What do you mean by corroborative audit evidence?
Supporting.
Supporting audit evidence, right? So, yeah. So it's a corroborative audit evidence, not a sufficient appropriate audit evidence on its own. So we'll see first of all the written representation. What is the meaning? So it's a written statement by the management providing to the auditor to confirm on certain points which the auditor wants to confirm upon his audit evidences and to support other audit evidences. Now, written representation in this context do not include financial statements, the assertions therein, or supporting books and records. So, it does not include the financial statement. If you ask to the management the financial statement, please give it to us. So, that is not written representation. Similarly, if you ask from the management books and records, that is not written representation. Those are the books, right? Those are financial statements on which you will be doing the audit and on which you will be obtaining audit evidences. And this records, books, financial statement will not form part of your written representation. That is much but obvious. but that can be tested in MCQ also. They can say give what all are included in written representation, and one option could be this: financial statement, books of account, records. These are not written representation. Written representation are necessary information that auditor requires. Hence, they are recognized as audit evidence as a response to inquiries. So when you inquire with the management, when you inquire with the TCWG, you can obtain written confirmation, written representation, and that will be acted as an audit evidence as a response to the inquiry that you did with the management. Although written representation provide necessary audit evidence, they do not provide SAI on its own. Objective क्या है अपना? Objective is to obtain written representation from the management that they believe that it is fulfill the fundamental responsibility of the auditor. Similarly, to support the other audit evidence, right? Objective is to not to get sufficient appropriate audit evidence, rather to support our already obtained audit evidences and to respond to the written representation appropriately. To respond to the written representation appropriately. So not that it is more exam point of view important, but let's just go through them, right? Okay. So written presentation requirement. Will require it from the management, all the written representation, and that is why it is also called as sometimes management representation, if you know. Okay. Now written representation required management responsibilities. So management is responsible for preparation of FS. Management is responsible for implementation of internal control for smooth preparation of FS. Similarly, wherever management is responsible for keeping in, for maintaining or preventing law and regulation, right? For preventing non-compliance with laws and regulation. So all these wherever management responsibilities there, we will obtain confirmation from the management that whether management has performed its responsibility or not. Preparation and presentation of FS. Information provided to the auditor is complete and true and correct, and description of the management responsibility in the WR you will also state that. You can go through the same. Now see the question. It's relating to the topic date of periods covered by written representation. Date of periods covered by written representation. So generally it has to be before the date of auditor's report. So whatever period of written representation you are obtaining, it has to be before the date of auditor's report. So let's see the question. During the planning meeting, the management and the auditors, it was discussed that the management needs to provide written representation letter to the auditors for the preparation of the financial statement and for the completeness of the information provided to the auditor. Management argued that written presentation need not be written. Management argued what? That representation need not be written. It can also be verbal, which has been provided to the audit team. Written representation name itself suggests what? It has to be written. It cannot be verbal, right? So they argued that it need not be written. Management is saying what? It can be oral, provided to the audit team during the course of their audit. Auditors have completed their documentation, and hence in a way representation based on verbal discussion with the auditors has also got documented. So what has auditor done? Auditor has documented whatever verbal communication they had with the management, and they documented the same in a written format. Auditors explained that this is mandatory to obtain written representation in accordance with the requirement of SA 580. However, still some confusion remains regarding the date and period covered by the WRL. So what is the date or period that has to be covered before the WRL? Date of WRL and period of WRL. Period of WRL specifically has to be close to the date of auditor report, and date of WRL has to be before date of audit report. That means what? If date of audit report is 31st of August, then date of representation WRL cannot be after 31st August. Similarly, period of written representation that you have obtained has to be close to the date of auditor's report. It should not be very far from the date of auditor's report. So let's see. You are required to advise about the date and period covered by written representation in view of SA 580. So what does this say? The date shall be as near as practicable to the date of auditor report. Date has to be as near as practicable. However, it should not be after the date of auditor's report. Correct? It cannot go after date or return representation cannot be after 31st of August. The return representation shall be for all financial statement and periods referred to in the auditor's report. In some circumstances, it may be appropriate for the auditor to obtain a written representation about a specific assertion in the financial statement during the course of audit. Where this is the case, it may be necessary to request an updated representation. So when you are obtaining certain specific assertion which you have obtained earlier during the course of audit, then you can also obtain for an update in the written representation. And written representation for all periods referred to in the auditor's report, because management needs to reaffirm that written representation it previously made with respect to the prior periods remain appropriate. That means what? It's not like you will obtain for a specific period. You will have to obtain written representation for all periods. For all periods you will have to obtain written representation, because it can be that there has been a circumstances that has been changed, so because of which you should obtain written representation for all periods. And also there can be a case where management was not there at the period, for the period which you are asking written representation, management was not there. Suppose example, you are asking for entire period, right, for 1st April 2023 till 31st March 2024, you are asking written representation during the entire year. And suppose new management came in between 30th September, new interim management came in between 30th September, you are obtaining written representation from this interim management. Now management, even though they were not before 30th September, still they will be held responsible, right? They will be held responsible for the preparation of FS, for the preparation of the implementation of the internal controls. Only they will be held responsible, right? And therefore they will also be liable to give written representation before the date on which they were appointed, even if the period does not relate to the management in which they were there. So you can see there, the auditor and management may agree to form a written representation that updates written representation relating to prior periods by addressing whether there are any changes to such written representation. Situation can also arise where current management were not present during all periods, right? So current management were not present. Such person may assert that they are not in a position to provide some or all of the WRL. So what will management say to us? That they are not in a position to provide WRL with respect to the period before 30th September. However, because they were not in place, however, the fact, however, does not diminish such person's responsibility, right? They are responsible for the financial statement for the entire year that has been prepared. Accordingly, the requirement for auditor to request WRL that cover the whole of the relevant period still applies. Please go through this again. Just go through this once again. Yes, so form of written representation you already know, right? It has to be in written. Yes, Kripali. Any doubt?
So, management can refer to prior period written representation and like update like in continuation.
If the circumstances have not changed. That is why we have to just confirm again, right? That is what they are saying.
Okay, so
Confirm again by obtaining a updated written representation. If there is any changes, management will confirm that. If not, then management will confirm accordingly. Auditor's duty, these two questions are very important from SA 580 perspective. So mostly 90% of the time, these two questions are generally asked from SA 580. So auditor's duty when reliability of written representation is doubtful. So now you are doubting about written representation, reliability of written representation. That means you are questioning about integrity of the management, right? You are questioning about competency, ethical values about the management. So auditor has certain concerns regarding all this competency, integrity, ethical values, diligence. The auditor shall determine their effect on the reliability of representations, oral or written, and audit evidence in general. In particular, if written representation are inconsistent with other audit evidence, so you obtain certain other audit evidence. So for supporting those audit evidence, you obtain written representation, and now though both are inconsistent, both are not telling, both are not matching, then auditor will have to perform other audit procedures in order to attempt to resolve the matter, right? So he'll have to perform what? Other procedures. But however, it might bring a question on his mind whether written representation is reliable or not. Now, if the auditor concludes that written representation are not reliable, then auditor can take proper appropriate actions, including determining what opinion he should give, whether he should give qualified opinion or what. So, if at all written representation are not reliable, you can also determine possible effect upon your opinion. You can determine that as well. And lastly, if he claims that there is sufficient doubt about integrity of the management, that last point relates to first point. If he has concerns about integrity, competency, ethical values, diligence of the management, and now he claims that there is sufficient doubt, now he is confirmed that yes, there is doubt about the integrity of management, he will issue a disclaimer of opinion. Why? Because written representation has been unreliable. That means you have not obtained audit evidence, and therefore you will issue what? Disclaimer of opinion. Clear? So just go with the flow. First, you had a doubt, right? You had the concerns about competency, integrity, ethical value, diligence of the management. So you doubt upon the reliability of representation. Then you matched with the other audit evidences. You find that written representation are not consistent, and therefore you find that written representation are not reliable. You need to take appropriate action in determining what opinion you should form. And in case you confirm, you are sure that management integrity is not there, then you will issue what? Disclaimer of opinion. Lastly, auditors' duty when requested written representation are not provided. So you have been following up with the management from day in and day out, and they are not providing you with written representation. They are not providing it. So you'll discuss the matter with the management that why are you not providing the written representation, and re-evaluate why are they not providing. Can it hamper the reliability and integrity of the management? Are we still can we rely still on the management? Is the integrity ethical value still intact? Is the management? And evaluate effect on the reliability of representation and audit evidence in general. Take appropriate action, including determining the possible effect on the opinion. So again, the same point, same point. Now again, you will determine whether what opinion you should frame. Why? Because written representation, what we have requested, is not being provided by the management, right? So you can again issue what? Disclaimer of opinion, because you are not obtaining audit evidence, right? Therefore, you can issue disclaimer of opinion again. Last 2 points, same. You need to determine possible effect on the opinion. You need to issue disclaimer of opinion. Then auditor shall disclaim an opinion in accordance with SA 705 if auditor concludes that there is a doubt, there are concerns about the integrity of management, and that the written representation are not reliable, and or management does not provide written representation when requested. So you can qualify your opinion, modify your opinion, disclaim your opinion as per 705 accordingly. So go through these 2 questions right now. I am leaving the class. Go through these 2 questions right now, and in case of any doubt, ping me on the group. Okay? Remember, test is there for SA 500 and SA 700 series on Sunday. Okay? So prepare accordingly fast. We are completed all the standard of SA 500 and 700 except last 2 standard of SA 700, 710 and 20. So we'll complete that also tomorrow. Prepare accordingly, start preparing, and yeah, complete all the questions of the standard on auditing. Whatever pending you are left with, pending with any questions that you are not able to get. See, the questions are very very important. Most probably out of 4 or 5 questions, you will find that 2 3 questions are repeated. So why are you not doing homework? Why are you not doing the questions? I am not able to understand. Okay, please 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 solve the question. I'm not solving it because I want you to apply your brains first on the questions. Since we have already done with the audit topics and everything, you need to practice these questions also. And I have included 90% of the questions already. So it's not like you have to go visit somewhere else or there. If you still need practice, you can follow the compiler. Any compiler that you have, doesn't matter. But at least solve all these questions till here, whatever we have. And these 2 topics are important. Whatever topics I mark as important, just mark also. You also please mark it as important. They'll simply ask what will an auditor do when written representation is doubtful or reliability of written representation is doubtful? In the last they will ask like this only, or what is your duty when you are not being provided with the requested information, or they will frame the entire story that auditor is following up with the management to get a written representation, management is not providing the same, and then lastly they will ask what is your duty as an auditor. So as per SA 580 you will have to report this, you will have to write this answer. Okay, so go through the questions right now. Class is not over, you will have to go solve the questions right now. Give 15-20 odd minutes till 10 you solve, and if any doubt you can ping me. Okay, you can send the screenshot or photo or whatever the doubt is, you can send the voice note, doesn't matter, or we can discuss it tomorrow also. Okay, so we'll meet tomorrow. Timing I'll let you know. It would be 8 a.m. for tomorrow, for only for tomorrow. Okay, chalo, bye bye.
Bye, sir.